Hi, greetings. Welcome to another episode of the Divine Cuppa. We're on episode 21. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we are expecting a very special guest. So one of our contributors for workshop number 3 will be popping in to join us. So I'll wait until they appear on the Zoom. But for now, I'll do a quick introduction. My name is Vanessa. I'm a lifestyle coach supporting women to help yourself. And in doing so, it raises your confidence and gets you into action. So we have Suzie looking gorgeous in one of my favorite colors, pink. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. Feeling the vibe to get on and say good morning to you all. I'm Suzie Wellstead, emotional wellbeing coach and author of You Are Enough. Really looking forward to our guest and looking forward to the conversation.
Brilliant. And we've got Deniz with us. Hi, Deniz.
Hi, I'm Deniz Mustard, emotional fitness coach, helping women let go of their emotional pain and suffering. And okay. I too, I'm looking forward to this because we've been wanting to kind of talk about this topic for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, we have. And just for one reason or another, it wasn't appropriate. I think like with the topic that we're going to cover, so I'll just introduce it to the listeners. You'll see it on the title anyway. But we're going to be discussing, can those in authority be trusted? Okay, so by authority, we're talking about your government, we're talking about the health authority, the school education, even employers at the moment are being put in a position where the trust element may be drawn into question. So that's the big topic that we've got for you today. I haven't got the cards ready, so I will get the cards ready shortly. But if any of the sisters wanted to start us off on this topic, maybe from either a personal perspective or just what you're picking up in the news, and I don't mean mainstream news like the social media news, would be good to hear from you, please.
I think,
no, you go.
Gosh, like-minded people just need to get in there. So I think it's interesting because like Deniz said, she was celebrating a party at the weekend. So was I. So I think we're going to bring up what happened in that conversation. And yesterday I found it very, very interesting that with a group, it was beautiful to have this connection. It was beautiful. It was a party surrounding. And we got to the subject of how, that employers are trying to control their employees by controlling everything. And I says, but is that not what the government is teaching us now, that everything's about control and manipulation, which we know it is to a fact. And we're not saying it's a bad thing. We're just saying that, is there enough people that want to question it? And they were saying how many people now are spoken to like God knows what in the workplace and accepting it as if it's the truth. And I says, again, in reality, when we think about our conditioning and our experience, we've been made to feel like that as children. You have to do XXX before. So really our minds have been trained that I'm not in control of something that I can be in control of. And then you've got the scaremongering of, what about your mortgage? What about your kids' education? What about this? What about that? I found it to be very, very interesting on the fact that, we've got to remember that because of this chaos and confusion, we're all, a lot of people are in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you tend to look to the government for truth or whatever. But I don't actually think anybody trusts them anymore. Nobody, they have to say it because they feel it's like the norm, whatever the norm is, but they're not trusting. They're not trusting, but they don't know where to go. There's not enough, there's not enough coverage of like we speak. Yeah, we've got low audience and there's not many that probably are picking it up unless we're sharing and liking and doing it. But at least we are sharing so that if somebody does come across this, they'll think, hey, they're right. Because I think when you're in a setting with having a conversation with people, they quickly are looking towards you to think, wow, she's saying something that makes sense here, because you know what the truth is, but we have to keep abandoning it or ignoring it because it doesn't fit in with your work or with whatever you're believing at the time.
You know what? I think a lot of people, because they don't know what they would do in that situation, they're like, oh, well, it's unprecedented and blah, blah, blah. And they make excuses just because they don't know the answer. And they're trying to, they can't imagine themselves being in that situation. So I do see people saying that. But when it comes to all of these changes, they quite naturally, none of it kind of makes sense, and people are testing and they're not allowed to do stuff, and they're getting frustrated and like, oh, I'm still testing positive, but they're not going, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. But there will be people that are, but there'll be people that are not, right? But
Yeah,
they're
but they're scared. They're going into survival mode, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly.
They are scared.
So
they're going into survival
not,
mode.
they're following it, but they don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah.
And so I guess as time goes on and as it becomes more and more constraint, these people are they have to say enough is enough, right? Because at what point do you keep going until, where is your, and it's funny, now we're heading into the booster territory, and, people will verbally go, oh, I'm not going to take another one of what. But we were talking about it yesterday. And we're like, yes, you are. Like you took the first one and the second one, you're going to take the third one. So I feel like, I don't know, it feels like a combination where you can have these conversations with people and they see it, yet they will still go along with it. But at what point do they not go along with it? That's what I'm interested to know, right? They see it, but they feel like they can't do anything about it. So, yeah.
But again, we've got to remember on the spectrum, a lot of people don't like to be judged or criticised or compared. They don't realise they're actually doing it to themselves because they don't want to share this kind of information because of how they're going to be looked upon. I mean, I've been out times, I don't tell people whether I've had a jab or not. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. It's my choice. And if I'm going to speak about it, I'll speak about it, but it's got nothing to do with anybody. I'm not hurting anybody with the choices I've made. I respect everybody else's decision, and I expect the same from others, but they'll have their own stories and their own beliefs. And look how much divide there is in people, work, homes, families. There is so much divide. And we're not silly. You don't need a conversation like this to know. You pick up on their vibe. You pick up on their vibe. You know when they've stopped speaking to you for a said reason, and then it's up to you to whether you're taking it on as part of you. And you do, because a lot of people are becoming really sensitive. They're full of anxiety and overwhelm because stuff is not making sense.
Okay, so in between, I was getting the cards ready. And do you know what? You saw me. I don't know if you could see me shuffle, but I did shuffle the cards. You're never going to guess who's with us again. He just loves us.
Oh, thank you. That's a sign for me because I thought that I was going on without breathing.
No, Archangel Raphael again. So anybody who's been following this series, he's with us every week, bless him. But actually, Archangel Raziel popped out first, which was clairvoyant. So I'll pull that up. But I'm just thinking about myself in the workplace situation. So as you know, I do the coaching part-time and I'm still working at the university. And I just go to the university without my mask. I just walk in, even though they've started to take signs down now and it's becoming more acceptable that we don't need to wear a mask and we don't need to social distance. I just do my thing. And what I noticed on, I can't remember what day, Wednesday or something, I went into the campus, but I went into another building because I'm going to have to be going to that building twice a month. So I went to familiarize myself and I walked in without my mask, and the woman who came down to show me around, she had her mask on. Then she saw me and it was like literally within seconds, she went, oh God, I can't breathe in these things. Yeah, I can't breathe in these things. She just took it off and then we just did what we did. Now, before I go back to Archangel Raziel, I was thinking about Archangel Raphael and thinking, why do you keep coming up? And this was a vibration I had when I was on my own. And the message was really about the masks, in the sense we have to stand in our power even more to show that we don't need the mask. The masks are causing more harm than good. okay? Because if I even heard some kind of conversation about if the droplet went back into the mask, it would be easier to get into your system. So it's, again, almost like a trickery. If people are going to get sick with this thing, the mask is helping with the absorption, yeah, to get this thing into your body. So I got a vibration that masks need to be disbanded as quickly as we can. So yeah, we're talking about how can we trust the authorities. Personally, it's a big no from me. The only authority, I've just seen it as a handwritten note in a Telegram group. It was a parent that was handwriting about their basic horror at the fact that supposed school boards think that they're going to be you know, giving this jabber juice to children without parent consent and everything. And the way how it was written said, you're not the authority, blah, 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 blah. I am the authority was the final note. So we have to be standing in our own power and say, the authority lies within us. We're not trusting anybody who basically says, I'm here for the government. I'm here to make you well. Please trust me. No. Is the answer. No, trust it, have that trust within yourself.
That's very true, especially when you think about the younger generation. I'm so sorry. Every parent needs to stand up now. And, you know, it's for them. It's for our future. Some of them are not breathing. They're not even sharing how they feel with their parents anymore, you know?
Well,
we've got to really think about them. It really, why are we doing this to healthy beings?
I know.
You know, why are we not getting it in our heads that if you're healthy, why do you need something else? Why are you not trusting in your own immune system that keeps you alive? Why are we believing in lies?
Well, the thing is, I've got two stories on that note. The first one came from Good Morning Britain, which even when it was posted in Telegram, someone said, oh, I'm surprised that they could show this, or they did show this. They interviewed a woman who apparently she hasn't had the jabber juice. And she is basically saying that under no circumstances will her daughter be having it. And she said exactly what you've just said there, Suzie. She's young, she's healthy. Even if she was to catch anything, the recovery rate is much higher than the risk that she's being told about and reading about from taking anything that's a man-made artificial substance. And it was shown. And then the second, this was brilliant. The second like little video that I saw in Telegram was of a big crowd of young people and parents standing outside a school without masks on. And there was a sheriff there, and the sheriff basically said something like, this isn't our mandate, as if to say the state's mandate wearing a mask in this building. He said, this is the school board's mandate. So what he was basically saying is, I'm not getting involved in this. Yeah, you make the decision as what you want to do. If you want to go into that building, you make the decision. So the parents heard that and they said, right, we're going in. You don't need your mask. Nobody can tell you to wear the mask, go in. But what the parents were saying to the children is be peaceful, be loving, be respectful. And the children, they were young people, teenagers, stood there. You had two authority figures from the school standing at the door with masks on, and the children the young people just stood there as if to say, we're coming in, so you need to move. Yeah. And they didn't push past because they weren't being disrespectful, but they stood in their power. We are coming in. Well, what happened? He moved and they just went in. It was brilliant. So no, again, going back to that authority, even when an authority figure presents themselves to you, and the only authority that, what's the matter, baby? Yeah. You don't like that one? The only authority that they're showing at the moment is a mask. I think that's what's their identification. I've got a mask on, so I'm the authority in this example, really.
But it's you know, going back to what you're saying about the you know, the opposite and sort of narrative, I feel like throughout the whole thing, there's always been a glimmer of a different opinion. It might not be an ongoing one, but there's always been a glimmer of. So, for example, when in the US and the UK, when they started the V program, both instances in America, the nurse collapsed. Here, the nurse had an allergic reaction, right? So the first dose. So how is it that, you know, you think that that's going to be okay? So I feel like the truth is there. Even if you don't have to do your research to see the truth, right? You just have to choose to see it as opposed to believing what is being said. And so more than ever before, it's now about, okay, you see the truth. You're now so like annoyed with the whole situation that the next step is for everyone to be in their power. So it's exactly right. Nothing has changed, but everyone's just like, okay, now, because there's so many mandates and so many this, so many that, there is only one option, which is to stand in your power. So I think that's where the whole power and thing, like, I feel like the truth has always been there in some way, shape or form. What are you saying?
I'm sorry. I just had to have that giggle there because you said that, and I looked down at the clairvoyance card for the deeper meaning, and Archangel Raziel, who popped out when I was doing the shuffle. The deeper meaning is I'm helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so that you can clearly see heavenly love. So yeah, it is about us and being able to say, but carry on, Deniz, and then I'll read the full passage. And
yeah, it's funny because I was having a conversation with my sister last week, and we were because you know we're going to talk about the Freemasons and stuff, and she was just like, how does it make every one of these people a pedophile? And I was like, well, it doesn't necessarily, but if you're pictured with, if you think about, like, you know, I think I've said it before, you got 42 million people in the world that are trafficked. They're going to be trafficked by the you know, the government. They know about it, right? There's no way these 42 million people move around without governments knowing in some way, shape or form. And I was like, you know, just look in the bigger picture, look at Epstein and look at the people he's pictured with. And her argument was, well, just because you're pictured with Epstein doesn't make you a pedophile. And I was like, if it looks like shit, it smells like shit, it's shit. And she's like, well, one of her friends has now been caught with money laundering. And it's like the worst like case of money laundering in New Zealand history. He's going to get sent down for 20 years. I met him at our wedding. She was like, you know, we spoke to him every week. There was no way that we knew that he was doing that. And I was like, being a pedophile and money laundering are like two completely different things. And I felt like it was a valid point, but I don't feel like in this instance, it was a valid point because you hang around with like-minded people, right? When it comes to that sort of thing, there's a certain demographic, I guess, you gravitate towards. And I feel like with the amount of evidence or sort of paper trail that Karen Brewer showed us with how these people are connected to Freemasons and stuff, I think for me, it's obvious. But again, it's not always obvious to everyone.
And look who's joined us. Hi, Simone.
Good morning. Can
Hi.
you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. I know we won't be able to see you today because you're traveling. So as long as you're safe to speak. Lovely to have you on the call with us. Thank you so much.
Hi, Simone.
You're so welcome. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
So we've been on the line now for about 15 minutes, Simone, and today's topic is, can authorities be trusted? So we've had a little bit of a say about that. Just to let you know how we do the Divine Cuppa, Simone, is I actually do angel card readings. So I have pulled some cards. So as we speak, I like to give the interpretation from the higher realm. So if you hear me kind of going off and saying Archangel this and Archangel that, it's because I'm working with the angel cards.
Okay, thank you.
So just about that topic there, Simone, can authorities be trusted? We'll introduce you, well, if you wanted to introduce yourself and then maybe give us like your thoughts on that topic, that would be great to hear from you, please.
Okay, sure. Well, a little bit about me. My name's Simone. I'm 38 years old. I live on my own in Surrey with a little pussycat. In October last year, I lost my job because I spoke out about what was going on. I was pretty high up in the investment world. I was in investment and development. I was an asset manager. I looked after portfolios on behalf of investors, maximizing and optimizing their investor returns on income. So it was commercial assets, predominantly in healthcare. That was my specialism. So I used to build GP surgeries, care homes, private hospitals, all those kind of assets that are, you know, very good to an investor because they're long-term stable returns because everybody needs healthcare. And as we know, now we're woken up that the pharmaceutical industry is an industry, healthcare is an industry, and it's designed to keep people sick and dependent on pharmaceutical drugs. And obviously, you know, the whole market, therefore, is based on consumerism. And part of my remit was to work with local authorities, i.e. councils, to unlock their parcels of land for redevelopment in alternative investment, i.e. healthcare. So that is why you will see across the UK a number of councils now doing regeneration projects within their towns and bringing new types of assets into the mix, i.e. mixed use schemes like residential with GP surgeries on the bottom ground floor and, you know, things like that, because that's where the money is in residential and in healthcare. So that's a little bit about me and where I've come from. I woke up in January 2020, and until October last year, I was working in that industry. I was pretty relieved when my employer at the time dismissed me on the grounds of gross misconduct because obviously speaking out against the establishment and against what was going on wasn't in line with their you know, their ethos and their mission. So you know, quite relieved, but at the same time, it's quite a scary place to be. I own my own home. I have a mortgage to pay. I had multiple outgoings, so you know, I had to. That is the place that I'm at. And lo and behold, you know, God has protected me. He's provided for me, and I haven't had anything to worry about at all. In fact, I'm much better off now than I was when I was working, believe it or not. So that's just a little bit about my backstop. Can we trust authority, as in the structures and the governments that we have in place? The ultimate answer is no. You know, gone are the days where we can trust. Trust is, just talk a little bit about trust. Trust is a biblical principle. The Bible talks about being trustworthy. Being worthy of trust is a biblical principle. You have to earn it. It isn't something that's just given to you. You have to earn trust. You have to become worthy of that trust. And the problem that we've got is that we've got these government officials and people in public offices or in public offices who are not trustworthy, who we haven't vetted, we haven't had our eye on. We've allowed, through our acquiescence and through our ignorance, to enable people who have got vested interest in other, it's self-interest, a lot of it, but also corporate interest in our land, in our inheritance, in what happens, policy, procedure, and therefore those people are not working for us, they're working against us. So ultimately, my answer is no. we used to be able to trust them, but because we've lost our grip on who they are and what their interests actually are, and you know, having a bit of control, a degree of control over voting and, you know, who's been put into those positions, because we've lost that, we can no longer call these people trustworthy. They are no longer worthy of our trust. So that's where I'm at with it. I don't know if other people have a view.
Oh my gosh, I love that, Simone. I absolutely love that, especially when you said, you know, you have to earn your trust, you know, and we have done that through ignorance and what we believed was right at the time. But oh my gosh, you are really singing to me, Simone. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're so welcome. And it does come down to responsibility. You're absolutely right, Suzie. You know, we have given over our responsibility. We have to acknowledge that what part of the reason we are where we're at is because we've given over our responsibility. We've become lazy. Okay, we've become this part of this world system where we want everything quickly, you know, this microwave culture, and, you know, we're distracted. You know, partly it's not our fault. We are distracted. We're distracted by this 9-to-5 bullshit that we have to work for this god of mammon, this money system, this fake fiat currency system in order to pay these fraudulent mortgages in order to pay. Part of that, the system, this pulled us into a place of laziness, or it's not necessarily lazy, but it's acquiescence, because we're so distracted and so divided and so overcome by all the things that are in our lives, our family, our jobs, our this, that, our careers. We're told to believe in a career, that we've got to have this and we've got to have that to be acceptable in society, and all these things create this confusion and turmoil and chaos in our world, distraction, that it means that we're no longer looking at what's important, what is really going on in the world, who is in control of the systems, who is seated in positions of power. We don't really care because we're so, you know, we're so distracted. So we've got to accept that part of the reason we are where we're at is we've given over our responsibility.
And yeah. I think you're so right there, Simone, because we've been, it's not that you've got to blame anybody, but we've seen how the government has been, and the government has not took self-responsibility for what they've said. And that's what we are doing as, we're following that lead. We're following what we've been showing, which is the incorrect way, because we're always supposed to be standing and take that self-responsibility that you're making the choices.
Yeah, no one's ever held accountable in the UK, and but there's also a perception that if you try and change things, nothing will happen. And I'm only just one person. I feel like people as individuals don't feel like they can make the change. And if everyone feels like that, then yeah, nothing's going to happen. But
you're so right, Deniz. You know, a lot of this is the social conditioning and the social engineering that has taken place over the last 70, 80, 90 years, even longer, you know, from the world wars. You know, all of those were contrived to break up family units. They were contrived to bring in immigration, to break up nationalism and this feeling of solidarity and that we are one. You know, all of that is social engineering on a level we can't even comprehend, designed to disempower us, disempower our communities, disempower our families, disempower ourselves as individuals. And we're taught in these 12 years of government-sponsored indoctrination camps to obey, to conform, to not think outside the box, to accept authority, do not question. You know, all these things create our sense of power, our sense of who we are, our place and what we can actually achieve, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it. We have been taught for so long to become powerless and to respond to fear. I was thinking about this recently, just even school, you know, you don't get taught that police are there to help and be of service and protect you. It's like, no, you need to stay within these rules, otherwise you can get into trouble. And so there's a difference between the two. And when you like, I mean, from my own personal viewpoint, like from a young age, I was always kind of, whenever I was walking past a police officer, I would be like nervous. And I was always like, why am I nervous? I haven't done anything wrong. So, and that's all part of what they want you to feel, right? They want you to be afraid. They don't want you to speak up. But it feels like, you know, there are people that are doing that, and there are people that are seeing that the corruption that exists, the lies that exist, and that they're not there for, like, you know, again, the government is supposed to be there to be of service, and they're not. They're being of service to their friends, and I feel like that's like really obvious to everyone. But yet people are, I don't want to say morons, but I mean, if you vote for Boris once and you vote for him twice, you pretty much are. Like, that feels like a given. I don't know what
I think when you talk about that, Deniz, it's so true. And we need to start asking the question that these roles in government, they are here to serve and protect us. And that should be in their rota when you go into work, because everybody's doing it for money. They don't give a damn, do they? They're doing it for money. So every government job that is out there, we need to know, are you here to serve and protect us, or are you here just for the money? And is that going to happen? Is that going to be a change that's going to happen?
This is something that people have accepted, that money talks. So somebody I know, she does like hormonal like coaching, like helping women with their periods and stuff and the pain. And she put she made a thing on Instagram where it was just like loads of different things that can affect your hormones, right? And I just, as a comment, like, oh, as if they're trying to like make us not healthy, sort of, you know, no, implying that it's done on purpose. And she's like, yes, unfortunately, these big corporations are, you know, just focused on the money. And it's like, yes, and and more, like that we aren't supposed to be healthy. We're not supposed to be in our power. So I don't feel like people have made that correlation. Well, it's like, oh yeah, the money comes first and everything else comes last. I feel like everyone is kind of understands that like completely. But the fact that that in itself is creating an environment of such negativity, and the impact of that overall is done on purpose. Maybe not. I don't know, but it feels like it.
No, totally. So part of the way that they do it, and this feeds into what you're talking about, Deniz. Part of the way they do it is using controls such as incentivization and penalization. So you see that every day of your life when you're on the roads. If you go over 30, you'll get penalized. If you come and take the jab, you'll get a donut. You know, these are neuralistic programming tools, NLP. It's a push and pull technique. Yeah. So instead of saying you mustn't do that, or you have to do that, or you have to do this, they say if you do that, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. And that over time changes behavior. So that's how they get the control in terms of the, you know, changing behavior and motivation. It's all about language and how they're using language against us.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for that, Simone. We have already spoken about how words have power. So just to reiterate what you're saying there, this carrot and stick approach, they're wanting us to live in a lower energy, in a fear-based energy, because when we're living in fear, then, you know, we're not going to be wanting to question anything that's coming out. Now, I've made a note of what's happening in France. I don't know if you've all seen the video footage on Telegram, especially in France, Brazil. You know, the people, the divine souls rather, are standing in their power. What I don't like is there seems to be more I would say, acts of violence that are being shown. You know, we don't want to be going down that negative energy. We need to be standing in our power, in the love vibration. I already gave the example before Simone came on the call about how young adults in America literally just went into a building without a mask on, but they were peaceful and they were showing respect.
I saw that.
Yes, but but they stood in their power and they went through. So that was fantastic. So we need to be aware of the games, like you said, the NLP. Somebody was talking on a chat this morning about how on the television, I mean, I don't have one. I don't even have one anymore. I can't say I don't watch one. I don't have one. But how they are, every advert, I think this woman was in Australia, every advert is really related to coercion, getting people to basically make a decision to say, you're going to take this jab of yours. Yeah.
It's also, oh, if you don't buy this, you're going to be left out or left behind. If you don't buy this, you're not going to be accepted. If you don't buy this, oh, this is a brand new version. You've got to get the latest upgrade. Oh, we've got to have faster broadband. And it's the way that they put it across is that you really need this. You really want it. If you don't, you're going to be left behind. This, you're not going to be seen to be like everybody else, or it's that whole, it is what they do is they implant it into your mass consciousness, into our consciousness as individuals, but into the mass consciousness, because they know what we think and what we perceive becomes our reality.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I just want to read the top line again from Archangel Raziel. So this is, I'm helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so you can clearly see heavenly love. So Deniz touched on that before Simone came on the call, about we have to have this spiritual awakening. And I've been told on another chat that from the military's perspective, they've got to see that rising consciousness. Now, apparently, there is more evidence that people are beginning to see things with their own eyes. But the additional message is saying that your clairvoyance may come from different forms, as fleeting mental images in your mind's eye, as dreams, as recurring sights in the physical world, as auras and energy, or as apparition experiences. All of the facets of clairvoyance are beautiful and varied. Enjoy and trust them. Hold the intention of seeing only love, and that is what you will see. So this love vibration, we have to keep ourselves. I've been finding that myself, I'm not really that tuned in to different conversations as I was, because it does pull my energy down. So I don't know if any of you've got anything to say about that in terms of keeping.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So just recently, when I was in Croatia, like I'm normally a vegetarian, but since I went to Turkey and I was just trying to transition into being a vegan, but it was really difficult in Turkey just because there's lots of cheese. And then we went to Croatia. It was even hard to be a vegetarian because there was lots of fish, meat, and I really like octopus and like just the salads, and I ordered one, and I was eating, and I just and the octopus spirit turned up, and I was like, oh God, I can't eat it. I knew I shouldn't be eating it. I knew I was eating it from my ego, so I moved it to the side. And I just was like, okay, this is weird. This has never happened to me before. And recently, like just walking into school, I was like, just thinking that person's jab, and just their energy feels different, and I could see it, and I could compare it from what I was feeling with other people, the people that I knew that had taken it. I was like, that is what I'm thinking. And I was telling Mark yesterday, so we were out queuing at this bar in Manchester, 20 Stories. And I said to him, I was like, I've got this new sort of thing that I can tell when people have been jabbed. And I said, I feel like this whole queue, like in front of us, they all have been. And then the guy, like literally, I finished my sentence and the guy in front of me was like, oh, I've got my double jab and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it was the universe telling me, yes, you're right. That's exactly what you're seeing. because I could tell when it's two, or if there's something not quite right. They've either had one, or there's something going on there, but I don't really understand what that is. But I can definitely tell the density of somebody through their energetic density, whether somebody's had it or not. And I was like, well, what's the point in all of this? But from what you're saying from that card, it's an unveiling. People are starting to see things and experience things that they would not necessarily experience. And like, did that actually happen? And so that's why I was saying at that our surprise party, where we were talking with people, they are starting to see the corruption, and that things aren't right, and that where we're heading is a crazy place that is going to cause more problems and more harm than good. So yeah, there's definitely something going on, but I feel like people have to start believing in the power of themselves and the power of prayer and the power of intention more, like Simone was saying, in order to transition through this period, because it's just going to get worse, isn't it? So, as you experience any sort of healing, in order to heal, you have to see the dark, and all the dark is going to come up. So it is going to get worse before it gets better.
That's very true, Deniz. But as a woman said, she's an author of, I think her name's Patricia Corey. I only just stumbled on her work yesterday. She said, when we do see these examples, we have to shine our light even more. Because if we don't, because what we were talking about before Simone came on was about the fact that these demons have infiltrated themselves in all different positions of society, and they are the ones who have put themselves in these authoritative positions. But if we do not continue to shine our light, then it's like we're saying, okay, well, we can see it, but what can we do about it? So we're almost being powerless. And the example that Patricia Corey was talking about is, again, I don't know if you've seen it on Telegram, in Australia, there was a news article, some news footage, and the story from the news was quite bland. I don't even know what they were talking about. Anyway, it cut into some kind of episode where they were hailing, and I'm not even going to say their name because I rebuke that energy, yeah. You know what I'm like. But anyway, they were hailing, you know who. And then it cut back to the news. And then this woman...
I saw that.
Did you see it? And Patricia Corey's like, as who we are, whether you see yourself as a light worker or just someone who's standing up in the truth or whatever, we have to call these things out and say, no, this is wrong. We are not going to have this just slipped into the mainstream media, because like she said, Patricia Corey, if we don't start saying it, because the darkness know that time's running out, what are they going to do? Put on their own channel, like literal news channel, to say anybody who's into this, come and tune in, it's on the mainstream.
I mean, I guess people don't want to respond and react because they feel silence is powerful. Yet silence is, sometimes silence is that ignorance, because you do know, but you're choosing to keep that quiet. So I think that's a really good point you made, Vanessa. And like Deniz said, we have to champion ourselves. We're the only ones that can get this out. But the more we keep doing it, and I thank Simone for everything she shared. That's dynamite. We give our trust away just like that. Come on, have a word with yourself. Come on, really? Gosh, it's really eye-opening stuff.
There's a scripture in Ezekiel 33:3 that states, if you don't blow the horn, if you see evil coming and you don't blow the horn, their blood, the innocent people's blood is on our hands. If we pull the horn, if we blow the horn and they don't do anything, the blood is not on our hands. So we have a choice to blow that horn or not. If we don't blow it, their blood is on our hands, whether we like it or not. So
that's true.
I go around telling everybody, you have to blow the horn. It's our duty. It's our duty to our brethren. It's our duty to God.
And if we're not seeing the government protect and serve, we're doing it to the best of our ability.
Okay, so this is really interesting. So Deniz has had to go. I know Susie's got to go as well. So I'm going to wrap this call up so we don't lose the essence of you know, what's been said. So for those of you who are tuning in, you know, we've had Simone on the call with us. You can hear the power, you can hear the how would I say, she's got a lot of wisdom, she's got a lot of knowledge to share, and we are so blessed and grateful that Simone will be the one of our contributors in workshop 3 that we are recording on Saturday. And I'll just tell you this title. Simone is inviting you to lose the fear, and she's going to be giving a workshop entitled Freedom from the Matrix, Sovereignty and Financial Freedom. And in this talk, you're going to learn about equity, trust, and private law remedy. Simone, is there anything that you'd like to say about this workshop and your contribution, please?
Not much, just to say I'm very excited to share with you solutions, initiatives, and the truth. And I'm just blessed and honored and privileged to be able to do that. This is a mission from God. I feel like I'm a messenger from Most High. We all have a destiny and a purpose that has been seeded within us. And now is the time for us to rise up. He's bringing the rains to water those seeds. And we all need to be prepared in our hearts and our minds to allow that to come forth. So I bless you all, and thank you too for today's contributions and to allow me to share with you what I have in my heart and in my spirit. Thank you.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, just before we go, Archangel Raphael is here and say, no, you need to give this reminder. So I pulled this card, which was go outside, get some fresh air, and connect with nature to relieve stress and gain new creative ideas. So it's really important that at this time we do spend time in nature. So I'm not going to read the whole message, but the message is connecting with nature helps synchronize your rhythms to the universal heartbeat. It's really, really important that we do have this connection to the nature. As Deniz said, say your prayers, say your intentions. If you're not used to praying, but you can feel something's not right in your heart, then just reach out to the higher consciousness, reach out to your own higher consciousness, your own inner guides, your own inner child, and just say, look, I am looking for solutions. I'm looking for answers. We need this to end. Enough is enough. Too much is happening right now. So on that note, I'm going to draw this conversation to a close. But yes, can the authorities be trusted? I think we've agreed unanimously that the answer is no. The trust is within yourself. So, you know, to get out, you have to go within. So on that note, sisters, thank you so much. And I'm so looking forward to working with you all on Saturday to record the workshop. Thank you very much. Love and light.
Thanks, guys. Lots of love. Bye.